So here I am again, putting my headphones on. There's a time delay, so you see different things to what I see, but that's cool. Listen, if you're watching this, good morning. It's nice to see you all. Not that I can see you, but you can see me, obviously. I wanted to talk today, right, about the cult show that we did with Hannah. A lot of people have asked about why I felt strongly about talking about that subject. And I'll tell you why. One, like all things that we do on the podcast, it interests me. And also, a lot of people think that it's really easy to avoid things like that, to avoid going into some situation where you are controlled by others. Actually, it's really easy to get swamped in by that. Sometimes when you're lonely or vulnerable, people can pick up on that. And over time, the lack of communication from other humans, the lack of anything being able to feel real, means that you are susceptible and open to love bombing. Love bombing is when somebody just tells you how great you are and really makes you feel good about your own thoughts, your own people, your process, all of that. And then by doing that, what they do is they obviously, bring you into some kind of relationship. Not necessarily romantic, but the relationship is built by people pushing you up, bigging you up. In today's society, of course, the need to destroy people rather than build them up has become the norm. If you're famous, you're seen as fair game by the media and everyone, just to say that, you put yourself in the public eye, that means we can rip you to bits in your personal life and all of that. And I find that a little bit contemptible. Obviously, well, quite a lot contemptible, really. It's a strange life when you're not in control of it. You're not thinking your own thoughts. You're thinking the thoughts of others because it's a group mind, like a hive community. Hannah's experience was a little bit different. She maintains that, her and this guy, I won't say his name, obviously, were in love, and this was a real relationship, and they tried to make it work around this cult. She knows that I think this. I think she's still a little bit indoctrinated, but she doesn't. So that's fine. I mean, it makes no difference. What I think about her, it's what she thinks about her that matters. She is now safe and out of it. She's married to a cool guy and they have a really nice child as well. So look, it's ended well. I put out on Insta asking if you think you would be susceptible to cults, and actually nobody answered the question. And do you know what? I realised it was kind of a stupid question to ask, because how do you know? Unless you've been there, how do you know? So the mind of a cult, right? Let's look at something a little bit more sinister. Let's look at Charlie Manson, right? He went to prison for the rest of his life, basically, after allegedly, I don't care, after telling his followers, his sycophants, to go and kill Roman Polanski's wife in this house and all of that. She was pregnant. It was all horrendous. Now, at no point did he actually murder anybody. But his family, as they called it, the Manson family, these people were so brainwashed by him, I don't know, seeing him as the Messiah, seeing him as their leader, and they did his bidding. Now, why would you do that? Why would you go and kill someone because somebody tells you to do it? I mean, one, what possible benefit could it be to you personally? Two, that seems to me somebody who was enamoured by being in charge of people, corrupted by power, obviously wasn't all there in the first place, and then ordering people to kill on his say-so. I don't know. It's a strange world to live in. I mean, these people, I've seen interviews with them now and they look like absolutely normal human beings. You don't have to be a special kind of human being to be influenced by others. On a very minor level, we're all indoctrinated into a certain way. The way the capitalist system works, we are all slightly indoctrinated about what we should have, what we should wear, what we should do. And all of that is bolstering the capitalist system that runs our lives. I'm not necessarily fighting against that or making a stand. All I'm saying is that's the truth. So we are all indoctrinated. 1940s, 1950s, coming out of the war, organised religion was huge. Right up until the 80s, 90s, probably, people would go to church. It was their thing. It's their social reward, if you like. Where they could go and meet their friends, talk about things that actually mattered to them, because there was no internet, there was no communication immediately. There was no face-to-face over the airwaves, as it were. So, people were there. Now, that indoctrination in itself, religion, as you've heard me say before, is social control to some degree. But also, people find solace in it. People find hope. People find the ability to get strength from that. And at no point should anyone criticise that. As long as it's on a personal level. What you can criticise, of course, are the people who twist it to their own ends. There are well-documented things about, Roman Catholic priests. There are well-documented things about pastors in, different religions falling from grace. I think once you understand that humans are human, whether they are religious or not, they can make mistakes here, there and everywhere. And by mistakes, I mean they can corrupt their ability to perceive their own power to get what they want. And I think that's shocking, because obviously they're preaching at you that you've got to live a certain way, and then you don't live that way, and neither do they. And then they come down on you like a ton of bricks. So it's a bit strange that people think that they can't be indoctrinated when actually, very subtly, everyone is. I think when you're a 16-year-old girl and you're looking for things and you're coming out of a childhood that really isn't, wasn't good, wasn't happy, wasn't easy, you're looking for somebody, a kindred spirit, someone to bolster you, someone to help you get through the day. Because sometimes the day is a hard place to be. When you have nobody around that you feel is supporting you, anyone who pays you attention, or in a positive way, then you gravitate to that person, especially if they're going to love bomb you. It's a weird world, but then why wouldn't you? Sorry, I'm trying to communicate with everyone at the same time. Why wouldn't you pay attention to the person who's paying attention to you? Why wouldn't you feel gratified by somebody walking into your life, paying you the attention, saying it, engaging with you in conversation that's stimulating and interesting? Why wouldn't you want to be part of that? Well, the reason that you wouldn't want to be part of that is because obviously normally it's other people's ends. And when you don't see an agenda and you think it's just, I don't know what you want to say, I mean, surface level attention rather than having an agenda, then you're going to fall into that. I know older people too have been taken in by these ways of life. Everyone has, like, I bang on about community constantly. I bang on about it so much. I have a charity, if you want to know what that is. That is called Coffee and Coping, and it's where we have drop-ins to combat loneliness and build community. Through that, you could see that, community is everything. And communities can be all supportive, but they can also be, exclusive to others they don't want. If you think about influence, look at Hitler, look at Nazi Germany, look at the way that he gave Germany hope after the First World War, where Germany was just completely out of it. Their money was worthless. Nothing was happening. So he gave them hope. And because he gave them that hope, all of these people believed in him. And if he told them that destroying the Jews, because it was all their fault, then they followed suit and they carried on. This is the thing. The Holocaust was caused by one man's vision, supported by sycophants. That's all it takes. You find a niche. You find a place where you can influence enough people just by giving them enough confidence to join you. I mean, that's scary. that, look at him as well. He was 5 foot and a fart. He had a stupid moustache and greasy hair, right? But the power that he wielded in the end, there were women all over him. There was like these guys building castles. I don't know which one it was, but one of his SS leaders, Goering or Goebbels or whoever the hell, right, built a castle based on King Arthur, right, where he celebrated occult things, did satanic rituals. I mean, Jesus Christ. Once you get into power, you can do whatever you want, because also you've got a rolling war machine behind you. That was one man's vision, then bastardized by his sycophants. And they then saw his vision and made it theirs in their own light. Strange, isn't it? I don't know. If you have anything to say about cults or indoctrination, then please do it in the comments. Let's look at a few questions, because as you know, last time I went live last Saturday, we had questions in and we were looking at all the things that, influence me, all the things that I do. Okay. These are anonymous questions, as you know. Do you miss performing music? No, is the answer to that. I used to love being a performer, but I think that was more about showing off. If we want to know the absolute truth about my music, yes, I could sing. Yes, it was good. Bit lazy, never actually got in depth. The best thing I ever did was with Rob Clarksdale, and we wrote, recorded, produced that in 2 weeks. I wrote all the lyrics, Rob did all the music, and produced it all while I was unconscious on the sofa behind him. It's not a life I want to live anymore, and I'm quite happy that it stopped. Don't get me wrong, I loved being in different places, playing to different people, having a good time, drinking, doing everything that I was doing. Eventually I got clean, because I've been clean from narcotics now for 15 years. So once I'd done that, we formed Distorted Breed to keep me clean. The people around me, we did that. Alex and Chris and all the boys. We built a community between ourselves. Community, there's that word again. It's something I don't miss. I do miss the boys, because I don't see them on a weekly basis. I do miss some of the travelling and being away, but I'm really very much a homebody these days. I like being at home. I like chilling after work. I like having my child and my wife around me so we can function as normal humans, because that's a bit of a revelation for me. I don't think I've ever been a normal human being, but the last 5 years, say maybe 10 years, it's been quite normal. So it's great. I'm having a good time, but I do not miss being a musician touring. The last thing I did was the 50 and Coping song, which was largely ignored by the world, but that's all right. So yeah, next. The next one, what's your earliest memory? Oh God. As we all know, my memory is absolutely rubbish. So my earliest memory, I think, is being at one of the big houses. So when I was a kid, my dad being a clergyman, we used to live in these massive houses that we could only afford to live in, like 4 rooms. But it was a big vicarage, massive garden. I remember just running around like a lunatic, age 2 or 3, maybe 4. Right, so this is a story that I like to tell. So one of my strongest childhood memories is a bit odd. The surprise. That basically there was a group of ladies, and there probably still is, and they're called the Mothers Union. And what they do in a parish is they like knit teddy bears and make cakes, and they help people. Someone who's hungry, they'll feed them. Some kid doesn't have a toy, they'll knit them or sew up some felt to make a teddy bear. Now, there are 2 stories to this. One is they gave me one of these teddy bears, and basically it was like a little monkey, but it had a human-looking face. And basically, I just freaked out about the whole thing. So that was horrible. But then I decided that the Mothers Union needed to see how much of an arc I could make while peeing in the garden. And my mother, who I don't think was, too enamoured by having to be there in the first place, had to run out in the garden, pick me up, turn me round, so I would stop peeing in a big arc. And of course, all the women made a fuss of me because, not because of my pee, but because I was the vicar's son. So yeah, that is probably my earliest memory. How embarrassing is that? It's nice, isn't it? Somebody asked me a question: are you going to get a tat? One, they're not called tats; they're called tattoos. Two, I've got hundreds, and they've all kind of merged together. And yes, I will be getting more. I'm going to get a tarot card, the death card with a skeleton in it. Marley's going to do that for me. I can't answer that one because that is an inflammatory subject. Right, who is my favourite artist? Oh, God, I hadn't thought about that. Favourite artist, right? I like Liechtenstein, okay? He is an artist, if we're talking about art, he is an artist who draws in like a cartoon style, like the old-fashioned comic book comics. And I like him. I like Huxley, Aldous Huxley. I like dystopian things. Dystopian is where everything is black. There's negativity all around you. George Orwell, 1984, Dystopian Society. I like all that stuff because it makes you think. Apart from that, my favourite musician, who knows? Seriously, who knows? Growing up and all that, I loved Guns N' Roses. Still do, to be fair. We've seen them, my wife and I have seen them twice. Once when it was the Axl Rose show, and then once again when they'd got back together. Well, some of them. Dizzy Reed, of course, did not. No, not Dizzy Reed. What's his name? Oh, no, the other guitarist. Oh, my God. I've had a blank. Oh, well, never mind. So we've seen them twice. Love Guns N' Roses. My favourite artist singing-wise is Chris Cornell, sadly no longer with us. There's another thing we could dip into quickly. People never understand suicide and rock stars and all of that. Excuse me. When they see that, so Chris Cornell took his own life. He was talking to his wife on the phone about things, and he was all right. And then they found him dead the next morning. Chester Bennington killed himself as well. People who are songwriters and artists in that, who wear their lives on their sleeve, often do not have the ability to be resilient to substances. And also they don't have the mental strength to deal with fame, fortune, all of the negativity that's thrown your way when that happens. So people just don't really have the strength to deal with it. So then they end up committing suicide. Like Chris Cornell's voice, 4-octave range, amazing songwriter. His ability to reach an audience was unprecedented. But sadly, he was prescribed apparently medicine that, has killed a lot of people. Michael Jackson died because of it, regardless of what anyone thinks about him. Chester Bennington, I think, was on the same things as well. So look, diving into that, when you are seen as having everything, be careful of that. Be careful of assuming that everyone's all right. Make sure that if you are with your friends and that, they seem happy, gregarious and on top of the world, just check in with them every so often, because you might well find that they're not okay and they need to talk because they're hurting. And it's as easy as this. If you're present for your friends and your family where possible, then you may well find you are helping someone out of a black situation. I think it's important that we say that. It's weird, isn't it? When you do podcasts and things like I do, you get to meet a lot of inspirational people who, are actually able to do good. Right now, doing good as well seems to be a little frowned upon in the world. If you're a do-gooder, somebody called me that the other day. Oh, you started a charity, so are you some kind of do-gooder? Well, no, I'm not. If anything, I'm the opposite of that. And I suppose in some weird way, I'm trying to make amends for my life a little bit. But when you have lived a life where there is a bit of shame and a bit of guilt and a lot of violence and some other shit, sometimes once you finally grow up, you have to understand that giving back sometimes is needed for your own mental health, and it can be a selfish thing. But being selfish in that way is absolutely healthy. You know, you find a way to make yourself feel better about yourself by helping other people. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, inspirational people, you know, Chris Sibley, who is one of the founders and also kind of runs the Ollie Foundation in St Albans. They are a suicide awareness charity. The people who work there are amazing. They do all these courses, you know, online talks. It's fantastic, the work they do. And you know, meeting him, he's such a helpful man to me as well. You know, he always does help. He makes sure that he checks in. We both do. Dave Beer as well, Walking with the Wounded, fantastic man. He has a brightness to him, which sounds a bit odd, but he has an ability to influence your mood by talking to you. And he runs the whole of the east of England, London, for Walking with the Wounded, and I can see why. He's an inspirational man. You know, meeting Joe, the paddling paramedic, people who have been through hell and back. Talking to my friends who have lived lives that have not been easy. It's all amazing. So look, 50 and Coping is still going. We're 3 seasons in. We've got some more guests. We've got a guy who is called, I can't remember his name, I've done this before, but he basically lost his arm and is now cycling and inspiring even to lots of people. He is gonna come on the show. We're going to do it over the what do you call it, you know, through Zoom. So yeah, we're going to do a Zoom call with him. We're going to make sure that he is all good, and we're going to listen to his story, because people's journeys are often, you know, the way people get through adversity, the way people deal with life that is challenging is amazing. They find the most inspiring ways to move on and show the world that just because you have limitations, it doesn't have to limit you, which is really good. There are a couple more questions, and then we are done for questions. What made you decide to go back to education? Oh, blimey, that's a good one. Okay, so as some of you know, I have been doing some counselling courses, and so I've got level 2 counselling, level 2 child psychology awareness, level 2 mental health and advocacy in the workplace. I am just applied for level 3 mental health studies, which they don't do a level 3 counselling course, which is really annoying. But this thing will take me to the same place. The idea is to do the courses, build up to doing a qualification in mental health. So then I can be more proactive and do more things for the charities. I think I told you before that I am now a trustee for Phoenix, which is a charity that helps addicts get into rehab, get clean. They also do wilderness adventure times where they take people, and the wilderness leaders take these addicts and they show them life skills and how to do what they do to survive in the wild. Now, while they're doing this, these addicts are making friends with each other and supporting each other. Support is the key. And yes, they're building their own little community that they can support each other from. Once they come back from this, I have heard that the end result is these people keep in contact, they check in on each other, they make sure they're all right. There is absolutely nothing wrong with phoning somebody up and checking in and asking if they're all right. I know I said it earlier, but I think people think they're imposing when they phone up or text somebody. That's all they need. Sometimes all you need is a text from a friend because you haven't spoken to anyone for a while, or you're in a situation where you're in conflict with whoever, your spouse, you know, it's not working out. You know, your parents, you're not able to communicate and you're butting heads. I think the reality of The reality of life is that it's always a good thing if you just reach out to somebody. You know, you don't have to be a crusader. Yeah, if you have a friend, which I'm sure you all do, just text them this morning and say, "Hey, dear man, it's all good." That's all you need to do. And they'll either tell you or they won't. But what they do know is by that contact that you care about them. And caring about people and building places where people are safe is important. Okie dokie. Yeah, so the reason I went back to education is because I realised that I didn't know enough to do the things I wanted to do. Have you found it hard being an adult with to do around your studies? Oh, right. So have you found it hard to be an adult with all that entails around your studies? No, not really. In life, I need to be busy. In life, I need to see that I am moving forward, succeeding. And nowadays, especially, I feel like I'm running out of time. You know, I mean, I know I'm only 50, but still, you know, realistically, 20 years left. So those 20 years have got to count. And as you get older, I'm sorry to say, you will find that time moves a lot quicker than it used to. So yeah, I mean, basically, it's a juggling act, and I'm sure I annoy my family by not being present all the time. But at this point, I'm on a mission, and I need to get where I'm going. So no, spinning plates is what I do. Excuse me. I think these are all from the same person because they're all about learning. Have you found your learning has changed you day to day? Yes. My ability to self-analyze has grown. My ability to analyze a situation rather than just going bang. Apart from I did go bang the other day because I'm human and I was tired. So I suppose what I'm saying is that I'm not a better person. I'm the same person, but I am more tolerant. I have learnt that actually looking what's behind the situation rather than everything at face value. If you take everything at face value, then you will take anger, frustration, and shoutage and negativity, and you will just take that and it will become your life. If you look about why somebody is talking to you the way they are talking to you, what they're feeling is usually what it's more about. Somebody's had a bad day, man. Someone's been hacking on them and they get home and they're shouting and, you know, all of that. That is usually because of the person's either not feeling validated or also they are not, you know, they're not coping very well. And if you're not coping, that's going to drag you down. So look, if you're having a row with somebody and it seems a bit petty or you're being puerile because you know you've had a bad day, just stop, pull yourself back, say, hold on a minute, I'm being influenced by everything that's around me. You know, my day's been this, bees and that. Start a conversation rather than a shouting match. Because if people understand each other, sometimes, just sometimes, that bridge is built. And finally, today, are you on any medication and how does it affect you? Oh, okay. I basically am on a drug called sertraline, which combats anxiety. I was on 150 milligrams. I am now on 100. So I've lowered the dose. I feel like I'm coping. I feel like I'm doing all right. It's got to have been about a year, but the reality of it is that it does affect you. Yes, at first it makes you not care about anything at all, so you just lose interest in a lot of things. And you stop being quite so engaged with the negative things. You start to not care quite so much about end results, which sounds negative, but it's not. Basically, I would get up in the morning and want to throw up because I couldn't cope with just leaving the house. There was a lot of exacerbating circumstances at the time, which have now gone away. But the anxiety was left. So instead of getting up and puking every morning and just being a wreck, I spoke to a few industry professionals. They gave me the idea of sertraline. I've taken it. It works. I am not a huge fan of the amount of children and younger people on antidepressants and antipsychotic meds. I think that the NHS reaches for a solution through medication at all points because obviously they are indoctrinated by the pharmaceutical companies. But that is a whole nother ball game. So byproducts of that are that now I am more objective and a little bit calmer and can deal with my anxiety day to day. That is all. Right, it's been half an hour. I have to go to work. So thank you so much to anyone who was watching and anyone who does watch this. If, like all things, you like the podcasts and ones you've watched, please do comment. Please do put a like in there because it helps us. But also, we know what direction we should go in, further. We're not going to stop doing 50 and coping because we all love doing it. So have a great day. Be positive. Check in with your friends, and I will see you